What's going on, guys? Adam Milson here with Straight Yak, coming to you from my garage. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who have been subscribing, liking, commenting on all my videos, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. We are at 1,000 subscribers, which is just amazing. It was a lot of work. I can't tell you how many hours I've been at the computer editing these videos for you guys to watch. So it means the world to me that you guys want to support me that much on this channel. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. This video here is going to be a tackle tip revolving around winterizing your gear, how to store your rods properly, what you're supposed to do with your reels, taking off line, a lot of little tips and tricks that might make your following bass season a little more easier to jump into. You're not so much troubleshooting. Anyways, guys, we got a quick intro, but before then, please hit that like and subscribe button down below if you're new to the channel. And thanks for watching, guys. Let's jump into this. All right, so winterizing your gear for basically the off season. It's one of those times of the year that it's very gloomy, but it doesn't have to necessarily be that gloomy, okay? So some of the best bass fishermen in the world, even though they might not be bass fishing right now, they are preparing for the next season. And just like them, you should be doing the same exact thing. And this is organizing your soft plastics, throwing away imperfect hooks and things that have gotten corrosion on them and things like that. Organizing your batteries, all your gear, all that stuff, just getting them in a place where it's going to be easy and accessible for you whenever that bass fishing season starts again. But one of the things we tend to neglect a lot of the times is our rods and reels. And this is literally our connection to the fish. It's probably one of our more important things that we have on our boat or kayak, and I think it's really important that we take care of that, so obviously it takes care of us as it catches the fish. So right here, guys, the first thing I'm going to get into is what you should be doing, and I'm going to show you. I got a nice little rod rack. This is how I store my rods in the wintertime, well, anytime in general. But when you've got your rod and your reel, the one thing, obviously, I think a lot of you guys already know this, is take the line off your reel. If you're not planning on fishing anytime in the winter, and it's within your budget, I always like to start fresh every single year, and I will take off all my line. Take the line off so that you can get in here and clean this reel properly, okay? There's a lot of little gears and things in here that need to be oiled up, need to be just, you could take these things out and run them under cold water just to kind of break up some of that dirt and things that might get inside all these little crevices that will eventually cause corrosion. But take that line off and get that line off, throw it away properly, and then actually give this thing a real clean that's going to keep it free of corrosion and any of that stuff and gunk that you would always get in it. The other thing that I think a lot of us kind of tend to forget about with our reels in general is, I'm sure you've heard this, especially very important with our bait casters, is to back off the drag. If you generally run a very tight drag when you are fishing, it's important to know that there's a lot of tension on the drag system itself. Those drag gears that are inside this reel, those can start to diminish over time if you keep that tension on it. And if you're having your rods and reels sit in a particular place for 2 or 3 months at a time without any use, I think it's really important that we should back these things off. In fact, you might even want to take it in a step further and maybe back the drag off anytime you're not utilizing your reel. But there's been times I've done that and I've forgotten. I went to go set a hook on a fish and didn't have any drag. So that's just my part in trying to remember that I got to put that drag back. But back off the drag, save that drag, those drag gears inside the reel. Try to make them last as long as possible. The other thing I like to do too with my rod in general, okay, is I like to just give this thing a good cleaning. I'll wipe this thing down. You can use pretty much any sort of household cleaner. I think that'll work fine. But where I really spend a lot of that time is getting in between the eyes. So what I'll do is I'll take a Q-tip and I'll soak that in whatever it is that I want to clean with. Maybe like a natural cleaner or something like that. Heck, even just simple like warm water. And actually take a Q-tip and put it in each one of these eyes. There's going to be a thing there. It's going to tell you, number one, you're going to clean the inserts of the eye in the guide itself, which is going to help allow your line to fly or to move through them freely. If there's any sort of gunk that gets trimmed up in there, especially if you're using braid and you like to fish a lot of grass and things like that. If you're a frogger like me, I love to go frog fishing all the time. You are in some gnarly stuff that line is pulling through the guides, and eventually you get a bunch of gunk in there. It gets tied up. It's nasty. But over time, that can get built up enough that it starts making abrasions on your line. So it's important to clean that. Now, number two, what the Q-tip was also going to tell you to do is that if you put a Q-tip in there and you pull it out and it's pulling that cotton with it, there's an issue with your guide, and it's probably something you're going to have to replace. A lot of the times when we're casting and we're using fluorocarbon or monofilament and we're getting nicks or we're breaking off on our fish and it has nothing to do with our knot, generally a lot of the times we'll have a crack in the insert in our guide. And that crack, as the line is making through, is causing all these abrasions, giving it memory, things like that, and eventually, obviously, making that line weaker. So it's important to know if we do have a cracked guide that we should probably seek to get it fixed, send it out to somebody, or it's pretty simple, I think, to fix it yourself. There's plenty of videos out there to find out how to replace the insert for your guide, okay? And then beyond that, guys, I think the last thing that I want to talk about is actually storing your rods. I don't think it really matters temperature-wise where you store them, your reels and things like that. I keep mine in my garage. You can keep them in your boat, whatever. I don't really think it matters much. Just that we do everything we can to protect the clear coat on this. Now, the clear coat is super important to protect on the rod because that helps with the strength of the rod itself. When you start getting nicks in your clear coat, that's when you start creating weak points. And I hate to say it, I've seen many times guys have some of the best rods in the world, but they get a nick on their clear coat and they set the hook on a big fish and that rod breaks. So nobody wants that. Make sure that you protect your clear coat as much as possible. So there's two solutions to this, okay? Simple stuff. You can go out on Amazon, get yourself a rod rack that I just recently purchased and put together. I'll have a link in the description from Amazon where I purchased it from. It was like $7, but the thing is amazing. Or if you do plan to just kind of have your rods laying around, I do suggest getting yourself a rod sock or a rod sleeve. Okay, this particular one is from Stick Jacket. I actually like these a lot. I'm more of just a simple sort of guy, but like all my stuff matching. I don't know if you're like me, I like that. And so I got a bunch of these just straight black, and it's great because you slip this thing on and then you've got a tip protector at the top. You'll notice there's like a little rubber end at the top, and that's obviously going to protect your tip. But the rest of this sleeve is designed to protect the clear coat of your rod. So as you lean it up against maybe a wall, or maybe you're laying them down, or if you're storing them in your boat, I do suggest absolutely to get this. Get a rod sock, Stick Jacket in particular here, and do everything you can to protect the clear coat so that obviously you're not breaking on a big fish. You're protecting a very expensive product or very expensive tool that we generally spend a lot of money in. Okay, these rods are super important. They are a connection to the fish. So protect them as much as possible and get yourself a rod sock. I'm going to show you guys real quick my rod setup here. Just one section of the garage, and I've done a ton. Okay, guys. All right, guys, so here is the rod rack that I'm talking about. This thing is about $7 or $12. I can't remember, but it's definitely budget friendly, and it's a great little rod rack. They come in a 2-pack. In fact, actually, here they are right here, okay? And so you could do a number of different things. You can obviously do horizontal. They have ones for horizontal, and then they have ones for vertical. But again, they're super cheap. You can get them on Amazon. And what's cool about them is that they're really tough to get out of these foam inserts, which mean that these rods aren't just going to fall out by themselves or something like this. Or if you walk by, you're not going to just knock them out, okay? And they're going to stay pretty protected. And this is how I got them all set up. Just like that. You got the seats down there, and you got the actual rack itself that's going to hold these in. And it's a simple design, but it works, and works very well. Now, while I'm here, I'm just going to show you what I was talking about by organizing your stuff. I just went ahead and built this. This is just my whole system, I guess, for organizing everything, you know, as far as like having my boxes ready to go. Like, you know, I can grab that, throw it in a truck, and I'm ready to go. You know, I've got a place here, don't mind all this. I've got a ton of baits I got to still organize, but I went ahead and put a battery station, got a power strip just hanging there, and all my batteries are just going to be charged right here, so they're ready to go anytime I'm ready to head out on the water. I have this cabinet that I decided to build sort of around it. This cabinet here, I've got my rain gear, I've got shoes, I got my graphs sitting in here. I try to protect my graphs as much as possible. A lot of other just kind of miscellaneous stuff, some rod socks down there. Getting over here, this is what I was talking about with all your plastics, getting them organized, okay? So I've got, you know, I've labeled every single one. You got worms, creature baits, Ned rigs. I mean, you can label this obviously however you guys want. You know, here's a label maker I was using. And, you know, I've got a few more boxes I got to put together because I've got a ton of baits that I'm trying to organize. But you can just organize pretty much everything you want. So it's like, okay, guess what? I'm going to be fishing for a lot of smallmouth. Let me go ahead and start grabbing the Ned rigs. Let me go ahead and start grabbing the drop shot baits, you know, tubes and things like that. And it's so easy for me to grab that and just throw what I need in there. And then, of course, I just got a lot of other miscellaneous stuff. This is my box that I throw everything in, like my PFD, you know, could be a motor or whatever like that. You know, I'll throw everything in there so it's not bumping around in the back of the truck. All right. And so that's pretty much it. I got my motors down there. I got my, that's my test, tank, I guess. And then some odds and ends down there. I got my, native watercraft sidekicks down there. So that is just some things to think about, guys. This whole rack system here has definitely been a huge help. And then this thing, I just sort of revamped this out. So it's carrying a lot of stuff, things that I would use for rigging up boats, all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it for your tackle tip of the week. Winterizing your gear, it's super important, guys. Again, take this time and this opportunity when you don't have a lot of stuff going on to really organize and get things set up and ready for the new season so that when the new season comes around, you are ready to jump in with as little headache, troubleshooting issues as possible. So guys, thank you again for all the likes and subscribers on the channel. And if you're brand new, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. But hopefully you guys get out on the water soon and you get yacked. Thanks for watching. Straight Yak'd.